Hey, what's up? This is Ill Factor from beatacademy.com, and in this video I'm going to share with you some music production tips while recreating Old Town Road by Lil Nas X, and we're going to be using GarageBand to do this. Now I know some of you have been asking what's going on with GarageBand, where's Ableton Live, and although I do use Ableton Live for my productions, I kind of wanted to illustrate in this video how it's not just about the software, but more so the principles and how to achieve getting the sounds that you're looking for through the simple techniques that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video. So that's my purpose. It's just kind of help you, navigate through the principles rather than just, hey, this is exactly how you should be doing music. So let's go ahead and get started and dive right in. Now, after opening up a blank project in GarageBand, I made sure to go ahead and change my tempo from 120 to 136 BPM. That's more or less the BPM that we're going to be working with. And then I've imported some samples such as a kick, a snare, and a clap that I can use to go ahead and place in my arrangement that will match the sequence of the drum. So we're going to be focusing on the drum pattern first. And what I've done was I've navigated through my hard drive by using the Finder tool to locate specific sounds that I want to use. Now, I'll just assume that you have no sounds to begin with or no sounds to work with. So that's why I'm demonstrating it this way. So I'm going to go to my Finder window and locate my Beat Academy sample pack. And this is just a sample pack that I've put together with construction kits, loops that you can easily just put together, one-shots, transition effects, and all this is absolutely yours for free. You can download and use the same exact sounds that I'm going to be using in this video. Just click the link below in the description box and download the sample pack. It's yours absolutely free. So I'm going to head over here to the Kodak Green folder, Kodak Green, and then I'm going to just click the hats and I'm going to drag and drop them into GarageBand, just like that. So it'll create an audio track for me and you can see the actual file there. But what we're going to do is I'm going to solo this by hitting the headphone mode. So just this track is heard. What I'm going to do is just go ahead, double click this and edit this. I just want to trim this region and we're just going to focus on a single hi-hat. And so what I can do now is move the playhead. That's this marker that you see over here. I'm just clicking the top and I'm just simply going to hit Command T. And that's going to create a independent region. So once I've done that, we can go ahead and delete the bigger region. Holding Command and the cursor keys allows me to zoom in and out. And now let's go ahead and we have a single hi-hat. So what we can do is now create our hi-hat pattern. So let's go ahead and place this in our arrangement. So what we need to do is have the hi-hat play at an eighth note pattern. So I've just trimmed the region so that it snaps to fulfill that eighth note value. So we can do that as well. All right. And so I'm holding Option key to just copy this over a couple of times. And what we're going to do is just simply do this until we've reached to bar 2. We're going to create a whole bar. And what we're going to do is just highlight all of them, but we're going to create a whole bar length of eighth note hi-hats. Okay. Now, once I've done that, I'm simply going to draw one more hi-hat right here at bar 2, and we're going to highlight them all because it would be a drag to have to always drag for every eighth, for every bar. You don't want to just continue doing that. So what we're going to do is consolidate all these hi-hats and make them one unified region. So I'm going to hit Command J to do that. You get this little prompt and hit create. Now what we can do is just trim this back to just a 1 bar and we have that 1 bar eighth note hi-hat. Right? What's cool about doing it this way is that you have this loop icon on the top. Now it's easier for me to just loop the eighth notes all the way through. And that's what we're going to do. So now we've got hi-hat 1 in place. Let's go ahead and duplicate this track by hitting Command D. And let's go ahead and we could use that same hi-hat by just holding the Option, drag it down. And we're going to do the same principle here. We're just going to trim this region. So I'm going to grab this over here and Command T. We're separating the regions. Because what we're going to use the second hi-hat for is the hi-hat fills and the triplets and all the little subdivisions that we hear in the reference. It's going to be easier for me to have the 8th note hi-hat on one track, and then I'm going to have the little hi-hat fills or subdivisions on a separate track. It's just going to be easier for me to control. And that's why I did this. I duplicated the track and had the same hi-hat. But what we're going to do is pitch up and down that hi-hat fill. So let's go ahead and place it in the right placement of the beat, and we'll work on tweaking the rest from there. So the hi-hat fill happens on the 4th beat of the bar. So let's just locate that by counting. That's where that fill should happen. So let's just solo this track here and zoom in. So what we're going to do is just trim this hi-hat till we get a 16th note value. That should be around here. What I'm going to do is just loop this section so that we can play that over. Okay, now once I have it at 16th note value, I can just use the loop key on the top of the region, right? And that's what's going to give us that loop. So we'll just trim it back. We just need it for that amount of length. Cool. And then once we've done that, let's go double click in that region. We have the editor on the bottom. What we want to do is make sure that we can go ahead and hit follow pitch or follow tempo and pitch. And that means that we can transpose this up. So we have a higher pitched hi-hat happening there. So let's see what that sounds like with everybody else. So we can repeat that for the next 4 count. Right here. And then I'm going to place a couple more of those fills at the beat 4 of bar. What we're going to do is for these, let's double click the region. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and double click this, and let's transpose this particular highlighted fill down. So let's go down 6 semitones. Let's play that. And we'll do the same thing here. Maybe about 4 for that one. And we can go back down to 6 or 5. Let's see what that does. Cool. So that gives us our nice little hi-hat fills that are going on. And we'll go ahead and loop those bars. All right, next, let's go ahead and add the 808 into this pattern. So I'm going to go back to my Finder and use an 808 sub that I already have in the Beat Academy sample pack. So let's go into Finder here, and I'm going to grab this one from 01, the Jigsaw construction kit. I like the sound of that sub, so I'm just going to click, drag that right into here. Now, similar thing, you know, this is a sub loop. So it's a looped bass line. So what we're going to need to do is solo out one single note, and then we're going to place that note strategically following the kick pattern, but we're going to pitch up and down the sub so that it matches the chord progression of the song. So first, let's solo this 808 sub, double click the region, and let's just navigate towards finding that one note that we need to use. Now I like that note there. So just click this, and we're going to trim right to the very front of that. And we want to get as much tail as we can from that 808. So we'll go right here to that the beginning of the next note. Command T to trim that. And now we can go in our arrangement and just delete the other part of the region. So now let's go ahead and map this out. Where should this sub go as far as the pattern? Well, in the reference song, they have the kick pattern and the sub playing the identical rhythm, for the exception of the last part of the loop. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my kick drum pattern as a way to kind of tell me where the sub should go. So let's just do that first. So sub here in that first note. And then let's go ahead and place it here as well and follow this kick pattern. So I'm just holding down the Option key and seeing where that yellow line until it lines up with the kick. and do that here. And we might have to adjust this last part at the end. So let's just check that out. Okay, so the pattern is good. Now what we have to do is adjust the actual pitches of those 808s. And we'll do a little effect processing with what we can in GarageBand to get it feeling just right. Now before I go and match the 808 sub to the bass line or the chord progression of the Old Town Road, I need to first locate the actual pitch of the sub that I'm using. Since I just grabbed a note from a loop, I could have used, the note could be anything. It could be an A, a D, an F. So I need to make sure I know what note that sub that I'm using is. So soloing the sub, let's just use a software instrument track. So we'll hit the plus sign here, create a software instrument, and hit create. And by default, it loads with the classic piano. So that's very helpful because we're going to use the pitch on the piano to locate the sub. So let's just hit, I'm going to use C on my MIDI controller and C to match the pitch of that note to the sub. So I'll lower the piano just a little bit and listen to the sub. Good, so it looks like the sub is actually pitched at C, which is going to make it really easy to create the bass line. So if the sub is at C, that means that we only have to transpose it 4 semitones down to hit the root note of, or to hit G sharp. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead, click that sub region here, and make sure that we have follow tempo and pitch, and I've transposed it down -4 semitones. We'll do the same thing for this note here. And then for this one, we'll just go 1 down, which brings it down from C to B. We'll do the same thing here. And then for that note, let's go down 6. And let's repeat the same process here. So I'll go down -6 here. And I think, well, let's just listen to the pattern and see where we have to go from there. So this one drops all the way down, I believe 11 semitones. And if you're figuring out like, how do you know what note to go to? I just would play the actual bass line on the piano. That's the G sharp, that's the B, that's the F sharp, right? Those are the notes. So that's how I'm using to navigate through the bass line and choosing what notes to go for the 808. And now what we're going to do is do a little bit of processing to this 808. Double click the audio track. Let's go under track here. You have record settings, and right underneath you have plugins. By default, it'll look like this, but we're going to go ahead and open that up. And what we're going to do is take away the pitch correction because we don't really need that. And we don't need to run it through echo or reverb as well. But what we're going to do is distort that sub so that the harmonics come out a little bit more. So I'm going to click this and choose a different plugin. So we'll go into distortion, and these are just the stock plugins that come with GarageBand. So I'm going to go to overdrive and just see what we can get from here. So let's give a little bit of drive. This is without it. So that overdrive does a really good job of just having that sub jump right in the mix. Then we might want to go ahead and move the channel EQ after that overdrive. So I'll put the overdrive up, and just clicking on that, we can go ahead and take some of that high end off, meaning you're just going to make it a little bit warmer, get rid of any of that high end that we don't really need, and boost a little bit of the low end. And I'm going to go ahead and crank this up just like that. So let's go ahead and recreate the guitar before we wrap up this video. So I'm going to swap out the classic electric piano on the software track for an acoustic guitar. So let's head over here to the guitar in GarageBand and choose classical acoustic guitar. We're going to go with that one. And let's go ahead and put the chords down, and then we'll do a little bit of effect processing to get it sounding the way we want it to. So I'm going to select this track and use my MIDI controller to play the chords. So let's go ahead and record that. Okay, there we go. We have our parts. Double click this. Just gonna make sure I highlight everyone by Command A, and make sure you can move the quantizing a little bit to every 16th note, and we hit the Q. Now the velocity is going to determine the strength of these notes, and so they have a different characteristic when the velocity is completely maxed out. You've got that nice little gliss or that slide there, so we don't want that happening. So I'm going to lower the velocity a little bit, not too much. Okay, and then back to the region, and what we're going to do is let's go ahead, double click that so we can get to the audio portion. Maybe get a little bit more ambience to that, but we're gonna make it sound tin canny, or like almost like a coming through a radio speaker. And a great way to do that is just by utilizing an EQ. So we're gonna thin out this guitar by using the high pass filter here. It's just letting the highs pass, and we're gonna roll that out and make sure that the slope is set to 48, so it's more of a drastic effect. So let's just roll that out over here and see what that does. And I'll give it a little bit of the low pass filter up here. So, and there we go. Okay, let's go back to the track and to the controls area, and let's add a little bit of another plugin. I'm thinking of just like making it sound a little bit more old school sampled. So a bit crusher or distortion. We have a bit crusher here. Go to distortion, bit crusher, and let's go ahead and see what this sounds like the way it comes out. So it's a little bit too much, so we might need to raise this up to 12 bits. That's cool. That gives the nice kind of texture that we're looking for. So let's see what that sounds like with everybody else. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has been helpful for you. And as my gift to you for watching, I'd love to send you the Beat Academy sample pack that I mentioned earlier in this video. It's filled with construction kits, loops, one-shots, and transition effects. They're 100% royalty free, so that means you can drag and drop them into your project and share that music with the rest of the world. And it works in any DAW, as you've seen. And the sounds that we use in this video are included in the sample pack. Just simply click the link below in the description box or visit www.beatacademy.com/pack and download your sample pack today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.